Well, welcome to the Debian Community Team BoF. I'm Luke Faraone. I've been on the community team for, it's been 3 years, I think, 2 years, 3 years. Also DebConf with Shruti, who is not able to make it, making this session at least. And remotely we have, do you want to just announce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Steve. And Andy, are you going to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Andy.
Awesome. And so, this is the BoF. So what is the community team? The community team is tasked with with interpreting and the Debian Code of Conduct, and assisting the community team. And actually, just let you want to go on about that? Sledge?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Do you want to go on about that? Go on about what do we do as a community team?
Sure. So we have a few tasks. The main thing is we're here to try and help make Debian a welcoming place. We want to act as a point of contact for complaints and incidents and provide help. We provide support for people wanting Debian communications channels, so IRC and mailing lists, that kind of thing. We provide some support for people wanting Debian events, like a DebConf. You might have heard of those. And yes, as Luke's already mentioned, it's we advise on interpreting the code of conduct. Because that can be quite a task sometimes. One of the key things that we have in our delegation from the DPL from some time ago is we don't have any explicit power to enforce the decisions if anything is needed. Instead, we're more a support team to help other teams in Debian do the right thing.
Yeah. Thank you, Steve. So yeah, now discuss. We have a new Pado linked in the talk notes, and we wanted to just, I guess, sort of get a popcorn fashion, get people's thoughts. There is one mic. So just, I guess, flag it on Eli if everyone has things they want to ask us about, complaints, comments, but no insults, please.
Hello.
Can you say your name, by the way?
Yes. I'm Olasdi, Nicolas Dandrimont. I'm one of the Debian account managers. So we interact on a very regular basis with the community team, obviously. Yeah, I've got one question for you. How do you feel about what you're doing?
I mean, it's a lot of stress for sure. I think it's challenging. As I think as Dan, it's whenever an action is taken, this sort of lot of community discussion about something that's not going to be changed by this discussion, which is kind of, I mean, as I think Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like it makes it much more painful to affect decisions and enforce the code of conduct when we end up getting like sent 100 message thread about every action that's taken.
Anyone else have something? I can keep going.
Sure.
How do you think the community at large, the membership in the project and other contributors to Debian could help you with the work that you're doing?
Go ahead.
So that's an important thing. Is we're here as a backstop. We're not trying to be the only people who make things work. Ideally, we would love to see more people stepping in and calling out bad behaviour or encouraging other people to behave better in those cases when that's needed. We're only a small team. We can't be there for everything. We try our best.
I think there's something about not just calling out bad behavior, but also perhaps calling out to a particular person. We have seen better. You can do better, and encouraging them to behave better.
Yeah. But a good community needs the whole community to be involved. I think that much is obvious.
I'll get one more if you want.
Sure, by all means.
How do you think you would be able to make your work more visible? I have the feeling that there's a lot going on behind the scenes. I see some of the behind the scenes work, so I know that it exists. Do you have any idea of how you could, I don't know, make that more visible in some way?
So, could you expand a bit upon like how visibility, why visibility is important in this context?
Right. Yeah, sure. Like I assume that there's a lot of like the community team interacts with members as community team a lot, and I assume that a lot of these interactions are not on public channels for obvious reasons. And so it's hard even as a semi-outsider to know what the community team is doing, how it's doing, if stuff is getting done or not, basically. And so,
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, what we've tried to do in the past, but I will admit we've sucked at in the last year or two, is providing regular bits updates, so we can at least give stats that describe what we've been doing. Obviously, we can't talk in detail about many of the conversations that we're having, or in the more extreme cases, the interventions that we're involved in. But we should be telling people, we've had this many conversations, we've helped in this many cases, and that's something that, we need to get back to.
Yeah.
Of course, like all of these things, that's also a time-consuming thing to track and keep up to date with, and we've kind of dropped it.
Yeah, and
that brings us to this slide which I forgot about, which is that we're looking for more team members. We're always looking, but especially it's good to have people be able to rotate off after a certain period of time, because this task does tend to cut. If you do it too long, it can definitely cause burnout, which is why we encourage people to help out when they can, and then take steps for them, take care of themselves when it's needed. Also, we want to thank the following delegates who stepped down from the last BoF. The last BoF was in 2023, right, Serge? Okay.
Yep.
So I want to thank Jean-Philippe Menudo and Molly de Blanc.
And also Shruti.
Oh, yes, also Shruti. Thank you.
So, yes. So we do regularly call or ask for more volunteers to join the team. We have a few people we need to get back to already because as the team gets smaller, we then have more of an issue with finding the time to deal with ongoing issues and also get new people up to speed. This is a known issue, and we have to do something about that. Definitely, we would like to have a big enough team to allow people to tag in and out. Take some time, as Luke described, so people can look after themselves and not get too stressed.
And for anybody coming to this after the event, this is the entire team.
Yeah.
So I just want to put it on the record. Stuart Prescott, who is another of the Debian account managers, is saying on IRC that we, as Debian account managers, often see the failings of stuff that hasn't been taken care of, and we don't see much on the successes, and that's, we should maybe try and find a way to make that, tip that balance the other direction, because that's like, I won't go as far as saying that we have a negative view of the community team, but sometimes we need to remind ourselves that there's a lot that we don't see, and that's happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yes, definitely. As I say, we do need to do more to actually share what we're doing. And as things have got busy, it's the first thing that gets dropped, even though it's probably the last thing that should happen. So, apologies, guys.
About...
Can you say your name? Can you say your name?
I'm Rana, pronounced she, her. And about speaking about the positive things, usually a fair amount of people sometimes notice some bad behavior and are more or less affected by it. And I think they should be given the chance to learn that something changed in the person and that the understanding was there. Potentially, the community team can invite the person to excuse to them or speak to them to clear it up, so that because I think it's also important for other people to notice this change in behavior and to learn about, that the impression they had about the person sort of can clear up and reset.
Thank you.
Sure.
I think you're as good as your last good email or your last good interaction. And I think the success of the community team, if it's anything, is that people appear better after a time or behave better after a time. But it only lasts as well as they behave. So it would be difficult, I think, to get people, well, I don't think we could get people to sort of stand up and apologize. I don't think that works. But if people behave better, then gradually the whole community comes up.
I wanted to add is that we, as Debian account managers, also have lots of work to do on the communicating the stuff that happens behind the scene. It's something that always comes very far down the list of stuff that we have to do, and you all know how it goes.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess it's like when things rise to the level of a day morning, and I understand the policies that Debian dash private. That I don't think the community team should ever be in that doing that sort of thing. In part because we can't warn people because we can't ban people. So, anything else?
Just letting people know that we said this talk is okay to go over by as much time as you need. Only thing after this is lunch, which is in 11 minutes. So if you want to use that as a cutoff, you're welcome to, assuming the other tech video team people in the room are okay with that. But you're also welcome to end earlier if you'd like. I guess I do, though, have a question. If the community team is mostly just support and advice for the actual disciplinary actions, who makes the final decisions? Lasti.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, the community team doesn't decide on any punishments or sorry, any consequences. Sorry. But we can advise other teams on like this person's being disruptive on this mailing list. Please ban them, that sort of thing.
Gotcha.
It relies on the various different delegated teams like list master, Debian account managers, FTP master to a degree.
Yeah, the wiki team, salsa admins,
plan admins.
I think this is one of the big difficulties in the work that you're doing is that you have to interact with a dozen of different ways that people can be hurtful to others, and all those ways are administered by different people, moderated by different people, and so you end up having to wait a lot on those people to act, gain their trust.
Sure.
Yeah. And also show like it's like they haven't abused the communication channel yet. It's like, okay, fine, we banned Eli from the mailing list, and then they start spamming the wiki. At a certain point when you get banned from the platforms, then it's an easy decision for damn. But that doesn't work. Actually, it could be an interesting point because that doesn't work for non-developers. I guess that would be DPL.
Yeah, that was about to be my follow-up to that. Is let's start with a practical question. Do you think having a moderation team that would be delegated to work across all of the Debian communication media would help with the work that you're doing?
Yes.
Should be lovely.
Pure and simple. I mean, that is one of the issues that you've identified already. That yes, we end up we have to consult with people in multiple different forums, whether that's the mailing list or ILC or whatever, and then go through and work out what should be happening. We don't necessarily have a consistent policy everywhere. And I think we probably should work towards that. I don't think that would be a bad thing. Andy and I we've been talking to folks from another Linux distro over the last couple of months. I won't name them, but they've been asking for advice on how they should be doing, and they call it exactly moderation of their community. And they've definitely picked up on the need to have a consistent story across all of the different platforms, more so than we have, in fact.
I think some things are easier. If you have somebody misbehaving in a mailing list, it's a lot easier to produce a string of emails and pass that to Listmaster and say, here's a string of repeated conduct from a person in a mailing list. Look, you can see it. It's a lot harder when it's somebody's attitude or you're having to work out what happened from perhaps three people's conflicting stories to try and judge on somebody's conduct vague sort of, this is how this person is much harder. I think a concerted, this person is difficult on several streams, makes it a lot more straightforward.
Yeah. I mean, to help with this a little bit, I mean, we're already somewhat integrated into various teams. I mean, we're already talking to the list masters quite regularly. I'm one of the people who moderates the Debian project mailing list. I also do some anti-spam stuff. And I'm one of the IRC ops. So you do get to see more a wider picture of what people are doing across that. But yes, definitely expanding that further and actually making it probably more formalized wouldn't hurt.
I tend to moderate-ish Debian user. So you will see me pop up on Debian user and sort of talk to people or suggest that the list can behave better. But doing that across all the mailing lists, for example, would be quite tough, I think.
One question that's not a question, but a comment or suggestion. You were talking about how to broadcast your successes more readily to the community. And obviously you can't get into the specifics of each case for the privacy of those involved, but could you send out quarterly or in yearly at DebConf in the presentation a list of statistics for this is how many interventions we had, this is how many of each type of consequence had to happen, just so people know that you do have a presence and that you are active, if it's not completely obvious to them already?
Sure. That's exactly the kind of thing we've tried to do in the past, and we just dropped the ball, unfortunately. We need to get back to that. How are we doing in the room? I've got a great view of Luke's back.
So the one thing that is difficult in some sense, and one of the reasons we asked for volunteers spread out, is, well, as you can tell from this conference call, it's difficult across time zones. Well, Sledge and I are based in Northern Europe in the same time zone. Luke's across America. But we don't have visibility across all time zones. So if somebody says to us 3 days later, somebody was bad in IRC, it's a bit hard to follow up.
And expanding on that slightly more, we're all white male presenting people. We've had better diversity in the past. It's something that we think is important, that we should have some good representation from all corners of the project. So not just all time zones, but all locations and better language cover and all that kind of stuff. So with better coverage of the different cultures and peoples within Debian, we'll be able to do a better job. That's always an ongoing struggle.
There's also an element of institutional memory. You have to remember how somebody was, perhaps last year on a mailing list, or somebody says X was bad, and you say, yeah, okay, somebody else said that 3 years ago. Have they got better in the meantime? So there is an element of trying to remember how things go in an arc. People go up, people go down, they behave differently. It's hard, I think.
Yeah, we've tried to set up processes to help with this, but again, if you're struggling to keep up with the day-to-day tasks that are happening, process and actually making sure we log things fully and keep that memory also goes by the wayside, which of course in the future makes it harder for us. It's not ideal. Now, unless anybody else has something from the room, I appreciate that you guys are coming up to lunchtime.
Thank you for having been up so late. It's great to see you live.
Yeah, I was hoping to be with you guys in Korea this year. It didn't happen. I will definitely be in France next year.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'm hoping to drag Andy along with me.
I was going to say, I think I'll be in the same car.
Thank you again to everyone who came out today. This has been Luke, Andy, Steve, and who couldn't join us, Shruti, as the other member of the community team at DebConf right now. Have a great lunch, and thank you all for joining us and sitting through and bearing with these technical difficulties. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks all. Take care.
Bye.